Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of Red Carpet Productions Spirit Hero Speaker Series. We thank you for joining us today. My name is Nayeli Gallegos, and I am president and co-founder of Red Carpet Productions. We are a brand management agency. We work in the liquor industry. We do tastings, promotions, events, and other brand ambassador services. Spirit Heroes is, first of all, a community of brand ambassadors and also an empowerment platform where we want to highlight and share the lives, the knowledge base, the talent within our brand ambassador team. So thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoy this episode. I want to start first with introducing Nicole. She's one of our brand ambassadors, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. Nicole, tell us about yourself, how you got into the promotions world, and tell us also about your business and your blog, please.
My real business is teaching social media to the real estate market primarily and small business. I started my business back in 2009. And while doing that, my way of giving back was volunteering and donations, etc. So one of the things I volunteered for was South by Southwest. In 2012, I had a friend who was working for Chevy, and I was done with my shift, and she asked if I wanted to go work down at Auditorium Shores as a brand ambassador. And I did, just to help her out, and I got hooked. It was so much fun, meeting so many different people, doing so many different things. And I eventually got into the liquor tasting part of it. Through that liquor tasting, as a brand ambassador, I fell in love with vodka, and I started researching Texas vodkas, which we have a ton of, thanks to Mr. Tito's himself, who started it all. And because of that, I started a blog. Actually, I started just an Instagram account, Facebook page account, and then it kind of evolved into a blog. And it is now the #1 vodka blog on the planet. And that's on all social media platforms, Vodka Girl ATX.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
Congratulations. So the topic today is more about empowerment, because I feel like the women that are scheduled to be interviewed today are truly inspiring. Our topic is I Can Thrive and Fight Cancer Like a Boss. To me, it is very important to stay connected and build this community with my brand ambassadors. So I actually like to follow them on social media. And that's how I learned that Nicole and Tiffany were going through cancer, that they were battling cancer. And both of them decided to share their journey with their followers. And I was truly inspired by their strength, their positivity, their desire to enjoy every moment. Hey, Tiffany.
Hi, Tiffany.
Hello.
The purpose of our conversation today is to help create awareness, because awareness is very, very important when it comes down to illnesses like cancer. In fact, according to the American Cancer Society, the risk of an American woman developing cancer over her lifetime is a bit more than 1 in 3. It's 38.7%. And it's actually 40.1% for men. Also, minorities tend to have lower survival rates for various reasons. For example, because of their diagnosis comes up later, in a later stage, as well as they have a lower likelihood of receiving or high quality treatment. So there actually have been notable improvements in survival rates for most cancer types due to earlier detection, and also due to advances in treatment. And that's why we believe information is very important, and that's why we're having this conversation today. So Tiffany, I'm glad you just joined us. Can you please, we already introduced Nicole. Can you go over just a little bit of your personal life, whatever you want to share with us? Tell us about yourself, how you got into the brand ambassador world. You're actually a very active brand ambassador. And so tell us just about yourself right now.
Okay, so I'm Tiffany Payton. I'm a mother of three. I have a 15-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 19-month-old. I got into brand ambassador with my sister-in-law. She was doing brand ambassador work, and I was like, wait a minute, I think that's something that I would be interested in, because I was already a people person, because I'm a nurse, a personal trainer, so I'm like, I'm already a people person, so I can educate people about what they're drinking. So that's how I got into the brand ambassador field. I love it. I enjoy meeting new people and educating them. I keep my schedule busy, even though I'm basically a stay-at-home mom most of the time. And since this cancer, I've been at home way more.
Let's just go into the conversation directly with you. Tell us, what is your diagnosis and how and when did you find out?
Okay, so I have stage 1 breast cancer. I found out because after my third child, I wanted to have a lift. So I went to my PCP and I told her, I said, hey, I want to have a lift because I breastfed all 3 of these kids and my breasts are sagging. She's like, okay, Tiffany, let's just run it by, the plastic surgeon and see what he says. So I go to the plastic surgeon for the consultation and everything. So from there, it was like a week or two before it was time for me to go and get the lift. And I went to my PCP. She was like, everything's squared away? I'm like, yeah, everything's squared away. She was like, did they schedule a mammogram? I'm like, no, they didn't schedule a mammogram. She was like, well, they should schedule a mammogram just to make sure that everything is okay before they go in there moving things around. So I'm like, okay, well, schedule a mammogram so I can go. So I went to get the mammogram to Solis in Weatherford. Next thing you know, I get this letter in the mail saying, you have dense breast. We would like you to come back in so we can, search more because it can hide complications. So that's how I found out about my diagnosis. So from there, the domino effect happened. From me getting this first mammogram, wanting to get a lift, that's how I found out about the stage 1 cancer.
Wow. All of this always obviously comes so unexpected. So when you went to your appointment, what kind of treatment options did they give you and what route did you choose to take?
So they told me I could do either chemo or I can do radiation with hormone therapy or radiation. But my sister passed away 3 years ago from stage 4 breast cancer. She started out with breast cancer on her right breast. Then it ended up being on her left breast. I don't know why they didn't catch it on the left side when they found it on the right side, but she ended up with breast cancer on the right and the left. Then it metastasized to the liver, to the brain, and it took over her whole body. She had like 2 weeks to live. She didn't make the 2-week mark. She was going through cancer for 5 years. So I decided I wanted to do something different because I was with her and seeing everything that she went through. I didn't want to do chemo or radiation because it was very hard on her. It affected like her whole body. She was complaining. Then they put her on steroids. She was gaining weight. So it was like up and down with her. So me being firsthand in that situation, I'm like, that's not something I want to do. Plus, they didn't catch the cancer on the left side when they found it on the right. So I'm sitting here like, I don't know if I have like 100% trust that they're going to like catch everything. So I wanted a second opinion and I just wanted to do things totally different from her, which is why I chose the holistic route because I'm already a nurse. So I'm already doing things differently anyway from my medical background. I eat different. I exercise. I make sure I'm not, putting all these carcinogens in my body. I feed my children different. I make sure my husband eats different. So I'm already this little health fanatic. So I knew I wanted to do something different. I didn't want my kids to see the battle because my sister had 4 kids, 4 girls, and they saw like everything that went on and her body changed and all of that. So I was like, I want to be strong for my kids. I don't want them to get depressed because they see my hair falling out or me losing weight, gaining weight, my nails turning black and all of this. So that's what pushed me toward the holistic route. You can't just stick to the traditional methods because scientists, discover new things all the time, but we just don't know about it. So if we research and find out, hey, they're doing this over there, or it's other options that you can take other than chemo and radiation and hormone therapy. So I'm like, okay, well, let's just see how this works. And so far, it's working very well for me. I get sick and tired and have pain, but I don't have like the nails turning black, my hair falling out, all of the different hardness on your body that chemo causes.
Yes. Oh my God. I can only imagine what it was for you to go through the process with your sister. And also, it is my understanding that your mom had cancer as well, right?
My aunt had cancer. My mom passed away from heart problems. She passed away when I was 12, but my aunt had breast
Okay.
cancer too. And the oncologist claims that not all cancer is genetic. So certain cancers, yeah. So certain cancers is just not genetic. Some people are like, oh, your sister had it, oh, this and that. But my BRCA test was negative, which the BRCA test means to test your DNA and things to see if you have the cancer genes. My BRCA test was negative, so not all cancer is hereditary.
Okay, so you were mentioning that you already had a very healthy lifestyle. I see
Right.
you post workout, posts all the time, and you eat healthy. So what else are you doing right now?
Okay, so I added a lot of herbs, soursop. I never knew anything about soursop in my whole 41 years of life. I found out that soursop kills cancer cells. And some things that I was already eating was killing cancer cells too that I didn't know about, like mangoes and cherries. I didn't know mangoes and cherries kill cancer cells. So I'm like, look at here, we're already eating and doing things that, fighting cancer and we don't even know about it. And I added gold water. It has like nanoparticles in it. Gold water is like artificial little particles of gold that's over in Honduras and Africa and different places like that. And also, a African American lady cured cancer in mice using nanoparticles. So coincidentally, this gold water that I was taking has the nanoparticles in it that this lady used to cure cancer in mice. So I do a lot of research to figure out different things that's going to eat the cancer cells. So I also take elderberry. I take elderberry syrup every morning. I also give it to my kids just preventative because it's really good for the flu. Like if you catch the flu or a cold or have a lot of mucus, elderberry is good for that. So in addition to my little healthy vegan diet, I've added all these different herbs and things that are going to kill the cancer cells.
I was just having a conversation with Nicole before we started about all the things that really are bad for your body, and with the fast lifestyles that we have, it's so hard sometimes to be always paying attention to the labels, or just trying to have something in your pantry that you can eat, quickly, even if it's from a can. And it's very difficult to really get into a healthy lifestyle, like, completely. So
Right, it's a lot of hidden things in the cans and labels that they don't put on there. Like they might say only this, but then it's a bunch of other things that they're not required to put in there, but that's in there that's causing problems in your body.
It's something that I actually started doing recently, like paying more attention to
the labels.
I'm guilty that I haven't done that before. Yes, no, but it's never too late to get started.
It's never too late.
So
and you don't have to do like anything drastic. Just try, every now and then, let me pay attention to this. Then once you get the hang of it, then you'll know the things that you need to eat that doesn't have all these added preservatives and all the different things you can't pronounce. If you can't pronounce it, you probably shouldn't be eating it.
That's what I heard. Okay, so tell me, what have you learned or discovered about breast cancer that doesn't apply to all women struggling with it?
So like some women will end up with it affecting their lymph nodes. Some women may end up with it just having mass in their breast. So like a lot of people look at it as, oh, she has breast cancer, so we treat it all the same, or oh, they all going through the same thing, but that's not the case. Like I was mentioning, some people are told that you can do chemotherapy or you can do radiation or you can do hormone therapy or you can do this. That in itself tells you that all cancer is not treated the same. It doesn't affect us the same way. All breast cancer doesn't affect us the same way. So that was interesting to me to know that. Plus the fact that if you can do like different routes, then it's obviously, you can't just have one little global effect of how we're going to deal with this cancer, which is why I'm sure Susan B. Komen is doing all this research, because cancer is constantly changing. Like it mimics your normal cells. So that's why it tells you it affects the good and the bad cells. So I found out about a lot of things that I would never have like dug into if I wouldn't have had cancer. Like I say, I'm a nurse, but I don't do oncology. I did med surg and geriatric patients in the nursing home. So some of these things that I found out is only because of this diagnosis. Even when my sister was diagnosed, I didn't, just dig into it like that. So now I want to know every little thing and do everything different for me and my family and my children. So I'm thinking that cancer is like just treated the same for every woman because it's cancer, not knowing that it's constantly changing.
So you, like I said, you decided to share your journey and inspire other people and encourage and uplift other women. Tell me how you got to that state of mind and how you're doing it right now.
So I got to that state of mind because basically I didn't want my battle to be wasted or in vain, because I wanted to be able to inspire and encourage and uplift other women. Because cancer has taught me a lot. I'm helping people change their lives in ways that I hadn't before. Through this battle, God has given me, the trust in Him. Because in the beginning, I was like, why would, God give me this? Like, I'm a healthy person. I'm not smoking. I'm not drinking. I just don't understand, why I had to go through this, So I'm like, I'm going to make sure that every person that I come in contact with, every female, is educated on the different options and things that they can do for cancer, because cancer isn't my destiny. I'm designed not to be sick. I'm designed to be healed. I know I'm going to boost my immune system, and as much as possible, I'm going to eat the right things that's going to activate the healthy cells in my life. I'm trying to starve the cancer and, fulfilling myself with an abundance of things that's, going to supplement my body and in the same way heal, from the cancer, because at one point I was just really discouraged and I was like, I'm going to do the chemo, despite what I told myself, because I didn't see a change. Every time I kept going back to the doctor, they kept telling me, oh, it's another mass. So like when they went on this side and they got it out, and like 3 months later, it's like, oh, it's another mass. So I'm sitting here like, I'm not winning. I'm trying to do the holistic fight, but I'm not winning. But the more and more I kept researching and telling myself that I'm determined to beat this battle for me and my kids, I'm like, okay, I got to find out something else. And but I guess the universe or God or whatever, all these different things start coming to me. People, my high school friends, my god sister, and everybody just started sending me all different things, and it was all aligning with what I was already doing. Like, so I'm like, okay, I need to educate other women on this, because I'm sure some people, might not feel like going and researching every little thing that they're intaking because you're stressed out in the moment. You're scared. You're not going to forget the doctor telling you that you have cancer, because I'm never going to forget that day. So there's no living if I'm constantly looking over my shoulder, letting cancer boss me. So I've learned to redirect that energy that I was expending in fear and anxiety and sadness to what I wanted to happen. So I stopped thinking about the what ifs and focused on how I'm going to heal. It was more than just having a positive outlook. It was redirecting that energy and focus. So I dumped the mindset of doubt and fear and suspicion and all of that, and I shifted my emotions to action and healing. So I had to organize my thoughts and feelings on how, I was going to heal. Otherwise, I would be chasing my tail, and I needed to clear that out of my space so I can be positive. So once I clear it out of my space, then now I'm on a healing pathway, and that pathway is going well for me. So it's working for me, and that's a positive thing. So I'm like set on healing and beating cancer, and I'll make sure that everyone else knows everything that I found out about cancer. So if they do get diagnosed with this, then they'll be able to fight it just like me.
Well, I'm going to tell you that you are doing a great job. I am cheering on you, and you have impacted my life. So I thank you for sharing your journey. And you mentioned something very important that we actually talked about it on our first episode with Alexis and Dina. And they talked about how it's very important to learn to listen to our body and our emotions and accept, even they're making us uncomfortable. Because when you learn to listen to them, you can start changing your habits. And as soon as you feel an emotion, you can switch into something positive, and which is exactly what you ended up doing. Instead of letting the negative emotions break you down, you actually decided to switch them into strength and something that is going to be positive for your life. So thank you for mentioning that. So now let's go into Nicole's interview. Tell us about your diagnosis. What symptoms prompted you to go and get checked?
So my diagnosis is completely different from Tiffany's. It's colorectal cancer. It's a very aggressive form of it, which is a signet ring cell. And that means it's not as detectable as most colon cancers are. And colon cancer is very different because it affects different parts of your intestine and your gut system, etc. So it could be, you know, I thought I had like an ulcer or irritable bowel syndrome, that type thing, because I was always running to the bathroom after eating or something like that. And I figured, oh, you know, it's just my age. I'm getting older. It happens. I don't like it, but it happens. And that was probably like just slowly over the years. And I didn't really pay attention. And I had started eating better and cutting out some, you know, like cream sauces and things like that that would irritate my system and inflame my system. So I knew those were the triggers, and I just avoided them. But I happened to be last year in Puerto Rico with a group of people for a media trip for Tales of the Cocktail. And we had a media trip where they took us to a bunch of little, and I'm not even lying when I say shacks on the side of the road, but the food was amazing. And it was like a food tour. So we were eating that, and then like probably towards the end of it, my stomach started getting upset, and I just figured, because we were eating different foods and it was all very rich, it was all fried, which I tried to stay away from fried, and it was kind of it didn't trigger anything per se, but I felt weird, like kind of like dizzy almost. So when we finally got to a point where it was safe to go to a bathroom, I had noticed blood in my stool, and I figured it was from what we were eating. And at the same time, a friend of mine that I was rooming with was having the same symptoms. So we just chalked it up to that's probably something bacterial, an infection, something we ate, parasite type thing. And so that was like 2 days before we left town. And then when I got back, I went to my doctor thinking it was a parasite, and she gave me antibiotics, and it was gone for like 2 months. Everything was fine. And then in May, right before another trip, I started having the same symptoms. And this time I was having a little bit of cramping sometimes, or like pain when I was going to the bathroom. So I noticed again the looser bowel and blood in my stool. So I went back to the doctor, and she asked me if I had my colonoscopy, which I was supposed to have when I was 50. I'm a lot older, so I put it off and put it off and put it off. During this time, I also had family members that had cancer and had passed. So we were dealing with that. And then a very good friend of mine who had brain cancer died in July. And she made me promise to go get my colonoscopy. She just promised me you're going to do it. I'm like, okay, I will. So because of her and then everything else that was going on, it's like, okay, I really need to do it. We know we need to do things and we don't do them, put them off. So I did, and like I was still coming out of my anesthesia from the colonoscopy, and the doctor goes, we found polyps and there's a tumor and it's cancer. So you're kind of waking up and you hear that, and it's like you're in la la land, and it's not really true. This was October of last year. So the second day, October 2nd, they called me and they said that they needed to stage it. I needed to go get tests, etc. And that's when they determined that it was stage 3C. It had affected some lymph nodes, but it had not broken through the abdominal wall or attached to abdominal wall. But they had the lymph nodes that were swollen. They were afraid that it was going to be spread. Luckily, it was all contained, and we had, radiation. Even though the cancer itself is a very slow-growing cancer, apparently it had the tumor for a few years. It's a very aggressive cancer, and because of those lymph nodes, they wanted me to get treatment right away. So I did the radiation and chemo combo for the months of November, December. While doing that, I started researching, kind of like Tiffany said, why me? What caused it? Where did it come from? Nobody at the time that I knew in my family had it. They did say it was not genetic, and that it was just because of what it was just it's just a random cancer that you get. So it was just the chemo, like Tiffany said, you're basically putting poison into your system and hope that it kills the bad cancer cells. In addition to that, it's killing the good cancer cells. I did have weight loss. I call it the cancer diet. It didn't affect me side effect wise as much. I had thinning in my hair. I was still able to work. I was still able to do promos. And then, I had surgery in February to get the cancer out. And that's when COVID hit. So kind of everything just kind of stopped. I did continue chemo through March, or starting in March and just finished in July.
We actually, I feel like I was there with you because you had the moment with social media and you were ringing the bell, and I was so excited for you. That made me very happy. You've always been very positive on your posts about what you're going through.
Yeah.
Tell us how you have been able to handle your prognosis, both mentally and physically.
So physically, like I said, I didn't really have a whole lot of side effects. So part of the surgery, they removed the tumor and they removed the upper part of my rectum, my sigmoid colon, and part of my regular colon, and then reattached it. So while that was healing and that I was going through chemo, I have what they call an ileostomy bag, and it's through my small intestine. So I'm very limited on what I can eat because my system isn't processing or digesting certain foods. So I had to be very careful up front the first couple of months, which is why I lost so much weight, is because I couldn't eat like fresh fruits or vegetables because of anything that had a skin, nuts, corn, anything like that doesn't digest, because I couldn't pass it. So I was eating, finally, when I did get to eat, I was eating potatoes, pastas, rice, all the whites that I had tried to stay away from beforehand, all the starches and processed foods. That was a lot of only what I could eat, unfortunately. So then I started eating a lot better, like 3 months in. I was actually allowed to eat salads slowly, with just plain iceberg lettuce, not the roughage like a spinach or anything because of the strand on the spinach, believe it or not. So in learning, I had to relearn how to eat. And in doing that, kind of like what Tiffany said, you start looking at labels and, they say cut out sugar and cut out this and cut out that. And you start realizing I've been putting all this stuff into my system for years and years and years. It's like, no wonder your body reacts to it. So physically, I've made food changes. You have to exercise. That's a big thing with cancer, and just in general, keeping healthy. Exercise at least 30 minutes a day, at least 3 times a week. Mentally, you're never prepared for you have cancer. You don't. Or anybody else that you're close to having cancer. So it was a shock, but luckily I had a huge support system with my family and friends. And even online, people I didn't know were awesome. I joined a couple of groups online, and they have been a humongous help. All you can do is stay positive. I mean, you have no choice but to stay positive. Like Tiffany said, you got to I decided when they told me exactly what my stage was, I was just putting it in a ball and I was just turning it over. It's like, you take it and, give it to my higher power, let them control it. All you can do is help your system by eating right, taking care of yourself, finding out what works, what doesn't work. Kill those cancer cells and keep them gone.
Yeah.
Wow. What else have you learned about this cancer?
This particular cancer, I mentioned it earlier, is a very rare cancer and sometimes cannot be detected. So if you think of cancer cells kind of like a pimple where it starts kind of popping up on your skin, that's how it's detected on the scans. That signet ring cell is a flat cell and they come in sheets. So you can't detect it as easily. So that's why I say they start with the polyps and then the polyps are what develop into the cancer. So you need to get that colonoscopy. Is I hate to say it, and as uncomfortable and scary as it sounds, it needs to be done. And the recommended age is 50. And and within the groups and just people that I've met and through my doctor, etc., people are getting it, in their early 20s. So I don't know if it's the lifestyle and things we're putting in our system, like Tiffany mentioned,
Yeah.
And what's causing it, but we're getting it earlier. And I just want to make sure everybody knows that anything that is detectable or different in your system, in your gut health, or just everyday life, if you see something different change, just get it checked. Don't wait to get it checked. Get it checked ASAP.
Well, ladies, I really appreciate your willingness to share your story with us. We're still in the middle of a global pandemic, and we've been stuck at home for several months now. A lot of us have felt depressed, desperate, hopeless. And you too are a light that keeps shining and that spreads a message of hope, resilience, and empowerment during difficult times.
Aww.
So I want to ask you one question, and you kind of touch a little bit into it. Because we all may know someone who's going through cancer, and sometimes depending on a relationship, it's hard to know how to approach that person. Sometimes you feel like you're doing something good, and then it's not necessarily what the person going through cancer is expecting. So in your opinion, what are the two best ways for someone to support a person who's battling cancer, as a family member, as a friend, or as a colleague? And let's start with Tiffany.
I feel like the emotional support is the biggest thing, and somebody somebody to talk to, somebody you can vent to, and tell them all these different things that's going on in your mind. That's the biggest thing for me. And then help, in their daily life, the things that they were doing before, they're not going to be able to do it because they're going to be tired. They're going to have to deal with all these doctor's appointments. So that's the biggest thing, the emotional support, and then physically be there for them to help them do things that they were doing before that may have been easy, but now it's challenging.
Yeah.
Nicole?
I agree. I think just mostly check in on, especially now with us not being able to see each other. Hugs would have gone a long way, which we can't have anymore, other than virtual hugs. But just text them. I thank God my friends are the bestest things ever. Constantly checking in on me, even if it was just a text in the morning, thinking about you. Do you need anything? Like Tiffany said, offer to do things for them or to take them out. I had, people reaching out, if you need me to take you to chemo, just give me a call. And I live way out in Bastrop, out in the middle of the country, right? I'm like, I don't want you to come all the way out here. It's okay. They're like, no, we'll go. Simple things like I was craving the chocolate cake and I do curbside, right? So I don't have to go into the grocery store. And I ordered chocolate cupcakes. And when they brought me my order, they told me they didn't have it. I literally broke down in tears because I wanted a chocolate cupcake so bad. I know it was sugar, but I needed chocolate.
Yeah, sugar breeds cancer.
Oh yeah, so I needed it, and so I got back and I posted. I'm like, I couldn't have a chocolate cake. So what is it? My friend Patricia, thank God, brings me a freaking chocolate cake, like personal sized chocolate cake, to my house, along with chocolate. Was body butter or shower gel or whatever. I mean, just over the top. So, if you need something or you want something, just I don't like to ask for things, but sometimes, just in mentioning it, someone's going to pick up that was important to you and reach out to you. So I would say reaching out and just checking in on them, make sure they're okay, and see if they need anything.
Great. Well, let me read you some of the comments that we have. Trisha, for Tiffany, that you had amazing attitude. And then she also said, I guess she's your friend, Nicole, or she
Yeah.
Is she the one who sent you the cake?
Yes.
Okay. Well, she says, Nicole's strength was always amazing. Anytime I started feeling depressed about being quarantined, I thought about Nicole's positive attitude and then stopped. So again, you have been an inspiration for others. Veronica's asking, what was the berry that Tiffany mentioned?
Elderberry and soursop. Soursop is a fruit, so you can get the leaves or you can get the actual fruit. But the elderberry is good for the flu, cold, mucus.
Awesome. Elderberry.
And they have a vitamin form, right? The elderberry one? Yeah.
What's the best way to reach out to you guys?
Social media. Social media.
I'm at Price+3 on Instagram. Okay. Or you can hit me on Facebook, Tiffany Boss-Payton.
And all my social platforms are Vodka Girl ATX.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time and for sharing your story with us. It is very important for me to showcase the powerful women that we have in our team. Thank you both for being part of my brand ambassadors team. You are truly appreciated. I always like to finish our conversations with a quick message, because we're a brand ambassador agency. A quick message of what you consider to be the value of brand ambassadors. And if we can start with Nicole.
It's a way for people to learn about different spirits and different products that are out there. Tasting something introduces you to a whole different world and opens up a lot of things that you may not have known you like. Our brand ambassador work is to educate people on things and show them how to drink it, maybe with recipes, etc., or suggestions. So it's just a great way to introduce people to the spirits world.
Yes, we introduce people to the spirit world in a positive light, and by doing so, we help increase the brand awareness and sales. Yeah. And we also, we incorporate that particular spirit. We're representing them, so whatever it is that we're promoting or educating people on, we're representing that product. So people come to us and ask questions because they really want to know, because they have been drinking it, but they didn't know all the education and, basically the identity of the brand. So that's what I feel like. We're educating them and increasing, the awareness. In the same sense, we're boosting sales, because we have to have, certain identity, appearance, and the values and ethics of that brand.
Great. Well, thank you to all who joined us. Please send positive vibes and healing prayers to our wearers, Tiffany and Nicole. We hope to continue seeing you here every month. I want Spirit Heroes to become a platform for brand ambassadors. Also, if you are listening to this and you're part of our team and you are an expert or just passionate about a topic, please reach out to me. I want to hear from you. So thank you, ladies, again. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next month.
Okay. Bye-bye.